Ever since I was 6 and my baby sister Ava was born, I stopped having birthdays. It didn't happen all at once. The first few years, it was subtle. Ava would cry during my cake cutting, and my mum would rush to soothe her, missing the moment I blew out my candles. By the time I turned 8, Ava was already standing on a chair next to me, blowing them out for me because she wanted to help. My parents would laugh, snap a picture and say, "She's just excited. Be a good big sister." But year after year it got worse. By the time I was 10, Ava was being handed presents at my party, my presents, because she was too young to understand and didn't want to feel left out. At 12, she had a bigger gift pile than I did. At 14, I wasn't even allowed to choose the cake flavor anymore. It was always Ava's favorite. When I turned 15, I begged to just go out with friends. No party, no drama. My mum said, family comes first, and forced me to have another joint birthday. Ava opened all the gifts and cried when one wasn't for her. So my dad made me give it to her. For 10 whole years. 10 birthdays stolen from me. 10 birthdays where I smiled for pictures, while inside I was screaming. And this year I turned 16. I finally snapped. That morning, I woke up to the sound of Ava screaming downstairs. "She got more frosting than me," she wailed. It was 7:30 a.m. I sighed, rolled over and stared at the ceiling. 16, sweet 16, or not. I didn't want a party. I made that clear a dozen times. I wanted to go to the movies with my best friend Lily and maybe grab burgers afterward. But my mum had other plans. Apparently, 16 is a milestone and should be celebrated with the family. By celebrated, she meant Ava would once again have a joint party with me. Same cake, same candles, same decorations, pastel unicorns and rainbows for her. I was turning 16, but everything screamed 6-year-old's birthday. The kicker? The big happy birthday banner had only one name on it, Ava. When I asked about it, my mum said, "We just didn't have enough space to print both names. You don't mind, do you?" Yes, I did, but I just smiled and said, "It's fine." I'd learned long ago that speaking up only made me seem selfish. I got dressed in silence. My outfit, a simple black dress I'd saved up for with babysitting money, felt completely out of place among the glitter and balloons downstairs. Ava was already wearing a sparkly tiara and a tutu, twirling around in excitement. "It's my birthday," she shouted, throwing confetti in the air. "No, it's our birthday," I said quietly. She stuck out her tongue. "Mommy said I get to blow out the candles first." Of course she did. The guests arrived, mostly my parents' friends and their kids. No one from school, not even Lily. My mum had forgotten to send her the invite. But Ava's entire kindergarten class was there, screaming and running wild. The party started. Cake time came. I stood silently next to Ava as she screamed, "Wait, wait, I go first," and blew out all 16 candles on the cake, which, by the way, had her name written across it in pink frosting. Everyone clapped. My mum said, "Now let's get a picture of the birthday girl." Singular, birthday girl. That's when it happened. I smiled for the photo, just for a second. Then I turned to my parents and said, loud and clear, "Why do you even bother pretending this is for me?" The room went quiet, like dead quiet. Even Ava stopped bouncing. "I haven't had a birthday in 10 years. You let her blow out my candles every time. You give her my gifts. You make everything about her." My mum's face turned red. "Sweetie, don't do this now." "Why not?" I snapped. "It's my birthday, right? Or is that only true when Ava's not crying? My dad stepped forward. Let's talk about this later. No, I said, shaking. We'll talk now, because there's never a later when it comes to me. Only Ava. Always Ava. People started shifting uncomfortably. Some of the adults were looking away. One of them mumbled, "Wow." Then I turned to Ava. I hope you're happy. You've gotten everything you wanted since the day you were born, even if it meant taking it from me. She looked shocked. Tears welled up in her eyes. My mum ran to comfort her. See? I said. Right on cue. I left. Walked right out the front door in my black dress, through the balloons and the unicorn streamers. Got on my bike and rode to Lily's house. No one came after me. Not that day, not the next. But the messages started that night. To be continued. My mum's jaw dropped. My dad just stood there like a statue. Ava? She started crying. Of course she did. She's just a kid, my mum snapped once she found her voice. You didn't have to humiliate her in front of everyone. She's 10, I shouted back. I was 6 when she started ruining my birthdays, and you never did a damn thing. You let her take everything from me for 10 years. The room was dead silent. My aunt slowly set down her fork. My cousins looked awkwardly at each other. Ava's crying turned into wailing. I just wanted my own birthday for once, I said quietly. Just once. I walked out. Just left the party, walked 3 blocks to the park, sat on a bench and cried. I thought no one would come after me, but they did. My Aunt Melissa showed up first. She sat beside me and handed me a tissue. That was long overdue, she said. I blinked. You're not mad. She shook her head. I've seen it for years. The way your mum and dad always gave Ava everything and expected you to just smile and take it. It wasn't fair, sweetheart. I'm proud of you for finally saying something. Then my cousin Sarah texted me. You were right. Ava's spoiled as hell. Later that night, I got a message from my uncle. Next year, we're throwing you your own birthday party. No avenue, just you. I couldn't believe it. The fallout at home was messy. My mum accused me of being ungrateful. My dad tried to keep the peace, which meant doing nothing at all. Ava milked it for all it was worth. Suddenly, she was the victim of my teenage cruelty. But I stood firm. I refused to apologize. I told them I wouldn't attend another shared birthday ever again, that I wanted one thing that was mine, and for the first time in a decade, they actually listened. The next year, when I turned 17, I had the best birthday of my life. Cake of my choice, decorations I liked, friends, music, laughter, and not a single tantrum from Ava. Because she wasn't there. She had a sleepover with a friend instead. My aunt hosted the whole thing. It felt like freedom. I didn't just get my birthday back, I got me back. And sometimes that's the best gift of all. After the party incident, things at home didn't exactly explode, but they didn't calm down either. It was like living in a Cold War. My mum barely spoke to me for a week. When she did, it was clipped, passive-aggressive. Oh, look who's up. Did Her Majesty sleep well after destroying her sister's party? My dad. He played the classic "let's just move on" card. You made your point, he said one night. Let's not drag this out. Drag this out? I wanted to scream, as if I was the one holding on to it like I hadn't been swallowing this crap for 10 years. Ava started acting weirdly fragile. She walked on eggshells around me, which I hated more than when she used to be a brat. She tried to give me one of her bracelets one morning. I handed it back. This isn't about a bracelet, I said. It's about you never hearing no your whole life. She blinked at me like I was speaking another language. Mum always said I'm just your baby sister. You're not a baby anymore, Ava. You're 10. You've been taking things from me for years, and Mum let you. She looked like she wanted to cry again, but for once I didn't back down. I wasn't going to be the one apologizing anymore. People I didn't even think paid attention. My school counselor called me in one morning, just casually asking how things were at home. I guess Aunt Melissa had called her. I hesitated, but I opened up a little, not everything, just enough. She nodded and said, "You've been invisible in your own family. That does things to a person." I nearly cried right there in her office. Then came Grandma. She FaceTimed me out of nowhere and said, "I saw the photos from your birthday party at Melissa's. You looked happy for the first time in years." She paused. "Your mother wasn't always like this, you know, but something shifted when Ava was born. I think she was trying to make up for how she treated you in those first years." I blinked. "What?" "When you were little, she was overwhelmed. Postpartum hit her hard. She resented you sometimes. I saw it. And then Ava came along and she overcompensated. It didn't make it okay, but for the first time I saw a glimpse of the why. I didn't plan on talking to him. Not then. Not after everything. But there he was, sitting on the porch with a chipped mug of coffee, staring out at nothing like always, like he'd done my entire life. Silent, passive, present, but never involved. I stopped halfway down the steps, heart hammering. Something inside me, some raw, newly awakened part, refused to keep walking. Not anymore. I turned slowly to face him. "Why did you always stay quiet?" I asked. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. He blinked, looked at me like I'd asked him to explain gravity, like the thought had never occurred to him that I might expect an answer. "About what?" he asked carefully. "Every birthday, every time Ava blew out my candles, every time Mum handed her my presents and called it just a little sharing. You saw it. You were there. You knew. Why didn't you ever speak up for me?" He looked down into his mug for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and rough, like it hadn't been used in years. "I didn't want to make things worse," he said. That was it. That was the grand explanation. I laughed short and bitter. Worse for who? He didn't answer right away, but then he looked up at me, and for once he actually looked at me. Not through me, not past me. "For all of us," he said. "But mostly for you." I blinked. "What?" "I saw how hurt you were. I saw it every year," he said, voice cracking just slightly. "And I kept thinking, if I started a fight with your mum, it would just add more to your plate, more shouting, more tension. You were just a kid. You shouldn't have had to deal with that too." "But I did deal with it," I said, stepping closer. "I dealt with all of it alone. You think silence protected me. It abandoned me." He looked like I'd hit him, and maybe I had. Maybe that was the first time someone had ever forced him to carry even a sliver of the weight I'd been buried under my whole life. "I thought keeping the peace was better than nothing," he said, barely audible. "You didn't keep the peace," I said. "You just kept me quiet." And I walked away before he could respond, because I didn't need to hear more. For the first time, he needed to sit with the silence. It wasn't planned. I was sitting in the kitchen one late evening, headphones on, trying to drown out the silence that had taken over our house. But then I heard footsteps behind me, soft and hesitant. Mum stood there, holding a mug of tea like it was a lifeline. Her eyes were red, puffy, the kind of tired that only comes from crying. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. Then, finally, she spoke. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I've been so selfish." I pulled off my headphones, stunned. "I didn't realize how much I was hurting you," she said, voice breaking. "When Ava was born, I was scared. So scared I'd lose her that I forgot you needed me too. I thought giving her everything would make up for it, but all I did was make you feel invisible." Tears rolled down her cheeks as she looked at me, really looked at me for the first time in years. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I should have fought for you. I should have made sure your birthdays were yours, that you felt special too. I failed you, and I don't know how to fix it." I swallowed the lump in my throat, surprised by how much relief flooded through me. "I don't know how either," I said honestly. "But this is a start." For the first time, I saw my mom not as the distant, overwhelmed woman I resented, but as a flawed person who'd been broken too. And maybe we could begin to heal. The weeks after Mum's apology were awkward and fragile, like walking on cracked ice. But for the first time, there was talk, real talk. I started setting boundaries. I told Mum and Dad what I needed: space, respect, the right to celebrate my life. It wasn't easy. There were tears, raised voices, and days when I wanted to give up. But every small victory felt like a brick in rebuilding myself. I reconnected with old friends I'd drifted from. I took up painting again, something I'd abandoned because I thought I didn't deserve hobbies or joy. Each brushstroke was a quiet rebellion against the years of being invisible. Mum and Dad didn't become perfect overnight, but they started showing up differently, not by spoiling me or overcompensating, but by listening. They asked about my dreams instead of Ava's. They asked about my friends and school. For the first time, birthdays felt like mine. I had a small party with friends who knew the real me, not just the good little sister or baby Ava's brother. I'm still healing. Maybe I always will be. But now I hold my own story. And I'm no longer just the shadow of a forgotten birthday. I'm someone who took back her light.
Subscribe to the channel and like this video.